I'm scared to put this out here, but I know I need to. I need people to tell me what to do, to see this clearly for me. Is this abuse, or is this two tired parents going through a tough time and doing a terrible job at communicating and working as a team? Is this something to fix or flee from? My self-worth is so low, I can't see or think clearly anymore. I feel trapped in uncertainty and thoughts and cycles of behavior, and I don't know what to do. My boyfriend and I have 2 children, a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. We've been together for 11 years. In the past 6 years, there's been so much trauma and resentment. He's become verbally and emotionally hurtful to my daughter and me. Then everything suddenly changes back and is good again. It's constant changing cycles, and I'm lost in it. Please shake some sense into me. I need some wisdom from people who can see this clearly and who've got more experience and more sense. There's so much. I have to bullet point it. In 2019, he cheated on me while he went on a solo vacation. I found out when I saw the messages. He was very remorseful, but at the same time, he did ask me, how long is this going to take to get over it? Our son nearly died 1 week after he was born and was taken by helicopter to a neonatal intensive care unit. My boyfriend visited twice and stayed no more than 10 minutes before wanting to go get some food. When I sent him voice messages about our son, he complained that my updates about his status were not concise. As we drove to the hospital where our son had been airlifted, he told me I talked too much and that he was tired. I had just watched my baby being worked on and nearly die. The kind of time where you look up at hospital ceiling tiles and pray. I had a miscarriage at 5 weeks and found out at 9 weeks. He hugged me when I told him and told me that it didn't really affect him. He never came to any of the appointments. He threw a wooden toy at me in anger, though he denied it. My son saw, toddled off, picked it up and threw it at me. He randomly announced one day that he would never marry me because then I would get all his money. I was extremely naive before we had children and assumed that when we said we wanted to try for a baby, a proposal would come. I waited far too long for the proposal, and the baby came surprisingly quickly. My fault. He told me his money is his money. This was after we had agreed that I would go back to work part-time after the baby. And lastly, he's been verbally hurtful. You're sick in the head, you're a mess, you live like a pig, combined with emotional abuse. Please don't leave me. I love you. No one could replace you. If things between you and I aren't good, then nothing is good. But he tells me how many girls he would have, tells me I'm too sensitive, tells me I just want to start fights, tells me I want people who agree with me all the time and constantly demands my attention. The cycles of bad and good. And then boom, everything's great. He's Mr. Good Mood, trying to give me kisses and saying he wants to spend time with me. He morphs back into the man I knew 11 years ago. I'm realizing that these are cycles, and after 6 months of hard reflection, I am finally accepting that these cycles won't stop. Maybe they will when he always gets his own way and can always do his own thing when the children are older, but when they become teenagers, this is all going to start again. How he treats our daughter. The worst is how he is with our daughter. If she falls or hurts herself, he tells her not to be a drama queen. Yeah, come on, that's enough now. He favors our son in front of her. He's called her names, he's blamed her, he yells at her. She will say to me, "Daddy, I hate Daddy." I asked her if she felt safe with him, and she said, if he's being nice. I have spoken to him countless times. I've arranged daddy-daughter dates, made one-on-one time for them, signed him up for parenting classes, recorded her speaking about how he makes her feel, had him spend time with other fathers, and asked him to read books on parenting. When I tell him he needs to change, he tells me she needs to change too. And then, there are times when you think he'd win Father of the Year. He taught her to play chess. They draw little characters together. And I see them and think I'm a mad woman. The effect he is having on her and on her future relationship with men concerns me until I can't sleep at night. What role model am I? I'm showing her what to expect from a man, the standards she should accept for love. I'm teaching her how to even talk to a man and how she should think about herself. I'm the reason she's being yelled at by him because it's me that's not removed her from this situation. Then there's my son. What role model is this? Now what? I think I'm choosing to protect my boyfriend's feelings over my own and over my children's. I can't bear the thought of telling him this is all over and that everything he has envisioned for his life is now gone. I'm terrified of being cut off from the main ship in just my little dinghy with my 2 children. I am recently unemployed, live in another country with no family close by. Financially, I'm struggling, but at the same time, I know I'm responsible for where I am now. I've asked him to move out 3 times in 6 months, and he's refused. I can't move out because I won't be accepted for another rental on my low or zero income. The plan. I'm thinking of writing him a letter, asking him to move out and putting the blame on me, that I'm not feeling emotionally well, that our son's near death still troubles me, etc., and that I need space and time to heal. My fear is that if I confront him with his actions, he will blame me and become extremely upset and hostile, and that he will blame our daughter if I say it is for her well-being. Once I get him to move out under the pretense of space, but still being a couple, I will wait a few months until he adjusts to and potentially loves his new life and new freedom, and then have the explosive conversation about ending the relationship. Or is this couples counseling? Is this me dealing with trauma and letting go of anger? Is this me trying harder and working on myself? Help and thank you. Tell me what I need to hear. I can't tell any friends here. I've tried to talk to my mom, but she glazes over when a negative word about the golden boy is spoken. I'm seeing a therapist, but she only says things like, "That must be worrying," which is nice if I want to have a chat. But I need some advice from wise hearts and heads out there to tell me what to do, to shake some sense into me. I'm alone and trapped in cycles. Please help. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. First of all, you're not crazy. Everything he's doing is extremely messed up and has no place in a relationship. He's not a good partner, and he's not a good father. Second of all, domestic violence resources in your area likely exist to help people in situations like the one you're in now. You have no resources of your own, but need to move out. Third, I would strongly advise against putting into writing that you're emotionally unwell and want him to leave. He could easily use that against you if he wanted to. This could be a problem in determining custody, and so on. Comment 2. 2 people see the domestic violence in all this, but not me. It's something I haven't really given any thought to, which is crazy now that I realize it. I didn't write about it, but he has thrown things at me, and he ripped something out of my hand and injured my finger. My daughter heard me crying. Healthy couples don't have fights like that, do they? Sigh. What would you do? How would you get out of this safely? Thank you so much for reading and replying. I can't thank you enough. Now for the update. 2 weeks after my last post, I finally wrote him a letter asking him to move out. I said I needed space for myself and the kids. I thought it was the best way to do it without him getting suspicious or angry right away. Printed it out, placed it on the kitchen counter where he would see it right after work. I was super nervous, but I thought this might be the start of me getting out of this situation. Not gonna lie, I was hoping for a miracle, or at least him to sit down and talk about the letter like a normal adult. That didn't happen. He came home late that night, clearly pissed. I knew something was wrong because he didn't even kiss our daughter when he walked in. He read the letter while standing in the living room, and I could see his face change from confusion to anger. Instead of talking to me, like a normal person would, he threw the letter across the room and started yelling about how ungrateful I was. Luckily, the kids were already in bed, but the noise was loud enough to wake our daughter. I quickly went to comfort her, and she was scared and confused. How do you explain to a 6-year-old that daddy's just being a jerk again? After settling her back to sleep, I returned to the living room, and he was pacing angrily like some caged animal. He accused me of trying to ruin our family and claimed I was being selfish. He demanded to know why I couldn't just be happy with what we had. Because what we have is crap, that's why. The next day, I went to a local community center to find resources for help, looking for parenting classes and support. I figured if I was stuck in this situation for a while longer, I might as well learn how to deal with all this. While at the center, I met a woman who had left an hurtful relationship, and she shared her experiences. Listening to her was like looking in a mirror. She went through all the same stuff. It was so comforting, but also heartbreaking. That weekend, he insisted on hosting a family barbecue for his friends, claiming it would bring everyone closer. I just wanted to scream at him, but I went along with it. He was charming and friendly with everyone, acting like nothing was wrong. I know he was just trying to put on a show for his friends. He even made jokes about how he was the fun dad, acting like I was the wet blanket. At one point, one of his friends made a comment about how lucky I was to have such a great guy. Like, really? So lucky. That night, after the guests left, he turned cold again, berating me for not helping more during the barbecue. I had to do everything, and he just stood there and smiled. A week later, he got a call from his mother, who wanted to visit for the weekend. When she arrived, she immediately noticed the tension and asked if everything was okay. He brushed it off, but I couldn't help but feel that this was a chance to let someone else see the truth. Like, please, someone else notice what's going on. The next morning, while the kids were playing, I decided to talk to my mother-in-law in private. I explained about the hurtful behavior, carefully sharing what had been happening over the years. I was so nervous, but I knew I had to do it. She was shocked and demanded to speak with her son about it. I was terrified, but also relieved that someone else knew what was going on. That night, he confronted me, furious that I spoke to his mother about our family. He accused me of trying to turn his mother against him, and the argument escalated quickly. The following week, he left for a work trip, which gave me some breathing room. I really needed it. During his absence, I decided to dig into local resources, finding a support group for people in similar situations. Attending that first meeting was eye-opening. I heard stories that mirrored my own experiences, and for the first time, I felt like I wasn't alone. That weekend, the kids and I had a movie night, and it was honestly the best time I've had in a long time. Just me and my kids, bonding without his negativity hovering over us. I started planning for a potential separation, looking into affordable housing options nearby. A couple of days later, he returned home, and the atmosphere was super tense. He confronted me about attending the support group and accused me of plotting against him. The argument escalated, and he exploded in anger, breaking a few dishes in the kitchen. I was scared, but I stood my ground. The next day, I received a call from my mother offering to help with the kids if I needed to leave. It felt like a lifeline. All this drama, and I still don't know what to do. To answer a few questions, my mother-in-law's visit was unexpected. I felt it was crucial to confide in her about the abuse. The support group has been instrumental in helping me realize I'm not alone. My mother's offer of assistance made me reconsider leaving. I'm still weighing my options. Am I the idiot for exposing my cheating boyfriend on social media after catching him with another woman? I need advice because I feel so stuck. I am in a 2-year relationship. I, a 22-year-old female, am a daughter of a wealthy family and studying at a prestigious university. I have past education from other countries and I have visited 12 countries. I am working online while studying and creating a network. He, a 26-year-old male, is a son of a casual family. He has no proper university education, lives with his parents, and sells bodybuilding drugs and programs for a living. He did not visit abroad and didn't have a passport before I took him to Sweden. I'm not saying these things to degrade him in any way, just so you can have an idea about me and him separately. I love his heart. So here is the problem. In our first year in the relationship, everything was awesome. I loved him so much, and he loved me very much too. We were always together, nearly 6 to 7 times a week. He was dressing nicely and taking me to places. He was always texting and calling because he missed me. After this 1 year, I needed to go to Sweden for 7 months. We always trusted each other and never cheated. At least not me. I'm not sure about him, but I will get there. In that 7 months, I visited him every 2 months, and I bought him a passport and paid for his visa for him to come to Sweden to visit and see another country for the first time. He stayed for 2 weeks in Sweden. He worked a job when I was gone, and the economic crisis became so bad. In those 7 months, we didn't argue or fight, and we always called each other every day. We supported each other and slept together over video calls. We missed each other. That's it. Then I returned to my country. Everything was amazing. We were together nearly every day, just like the old days. Our bond strengthened, but everything started to fall apart 3 months ago. 5 months after I came back, he started to work as a bodyguard in a huge cafe. In the meantime, he began using bodybuilding drugs for a competition. I was with him at his first competition and always backed him up, helping him financially and mentally. 3 months ago, I realized that something was wrong. He gradually became colder, and we were only seeing each other a maximum of 2 times a week. Then I started to count how many times we were meeting. I didn't set up any dates to see what he would do. I saw that in a whole month, he only met with me 3 times, and we only went to the gym and had a coffee. That's it. He was not calling or texting me as often. I tried to respect his hustle, but it's unfair. If he wanted to, he would meet me more and at least call me. Then I started to realize he is really changing, and he understood that I loved him for his heart and not his actions. So he started not caring much about giving me any attention. I tried to see him, but he is never available for me. However, he meets with his friends. He forgot our anniversary. He forgot my birthday. He didn't properly celebrate anything. He didn't care about Valentine's Day, and I always celebrated these occasions. I bought him a very special t-shirt and pants set. He always wanted them, but they are so expensive and not sold in our country. I just wanted to make him happy, and I spent all of my 1-month earnings. And he said, "No one ever celebrated my birthday, so I don't care about birthdays." He has not celebrated or bought any presents ever. He never got me anything. No flowers and no presents. Never mind. Now it's nearly August. It's been 3 to 4 months since I realized his behavior. He didn't try to fix anything. No attention, no taking me out for dinners, nothing. Only meeting twice a month to go to the gym, but texting a bit every day to inform me about his whereabouts. He is now in another city to relax his mind with his male cousin for about 2 weeks. He is acting a bit weird. His last scene on WhatsApp suddenly turned off, and when I asked him, he played dumb and turned it back on. He told me, "I will text you back at night." He said this at 3 p.m. and gave no explanation. When I called, his phone was on silent. Yesterday, I thought to myself, enough. I don't need to keep up with his behavior. I don't deserve this treatment. Then he randomly texted me, "I will turn off my internet. I will read some books. I'm at home, cousin's house. Bye." He doesn't ever read books. And then he is gone for 2.5 hours, and his phone is completely turned off or on flight mode. I think he is cheating on me. I don't have any proof, but I don't want to see anything. I'm done for real. I don't think I have any love left for him. I'm just sad. Yesterday I texted him, "Don't text or call me until you come back to my city. I'm done." Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Regardless of whether he's cheating or not, this is a relationship that has run its course. He's not going to willingly give you what you need. That is enough to end things. Comment 2. Thank you very much. People's opinions are important for me right now because he made me feel like I'm wanting too much. Thanks for your advice. Have a really nice day. Now for the update. 2 days after I told him I was done with our relationship, the guy texts me saying he's back in town and wants to talk. How predictable. I already knew this guy was going to try to get back into my life, but not today, Satan. I agreed to meet him at this local diner we used to go to, feeling a little nervous and curious at the same time. What was he gonna say? The diner was one of our favorite spots, but now it just felt like a reminder of how things used to be and how messed up they currently were. When he finally showed up, I could just tell something was off. He was all jittery, constantly checking his phone and avoiding eye contact. I mean, I get it. You're a bodyguard now and all, but did your phone really need that much attention? So he starts off saying he missed me but has been busy with work and family. Yeah, right. I noticed he had a new tattoo on his arm, which he didn't even bother to mention. I mean, that's kind of a big deal, don't you think? We awkwardly tried to discuss our past times together, but the conversation felt like pulling teeth. It was just so forced. Then he asked about my summer plans, acting all uninterested when I mentioned a trip with some friends. I mean, what did he expect? That I was just going to sit around and wait for him to decide he wanted to talk to me? Not a chance. Then I decided it was time to bring up the obvious issue, the lack of communication and his recent behavior. He just brushed it off, saying he was just figuring things out and didn't want to burden me. Frustrated, I pushed for clarity and asked about his cousin trip. He hesitated and claimed it was just a guy's weekend, avoiding any specifics. Like, come on, we both know that's not the whole story. I left the diner feeling even more confused and having this gut feeling that something bigger was going on. Later that week, my mom invited me to my parents' house for dinner, which also included my brother and sister-in-law. During dinner, my brother casually mentioned seeing my boyfriend with another woman at a gym event. I almost choked on my food. He described the woman as fit and friendly, saying they seemed really close. After dinner, I pulled my brother aside to ask more about what he saw. He told me he saw them laughing and taking pictures together. He said it just didn't sit right with him. Like, yeah, same. The next day, I decided I needed to investigate further. I made a plan to visit the gym he frequented. I showed up at the gym and spotted him training with the same woman my brother mentioned. They were laughing, and I saw him wrap his arm around her shoulder. I couldn't handle it. Instead of confronting him right then and there, I decided to leave quietly, wanting to gather more information before making a scene. That evening, I texted him saying I needed some space to think and wouldn't be available for a while. He texted back, confused and asking what was wrong, but I just left him on read. The next day, I got a tip about a local event where he was scheduled to work as a bodyguard. I decided to attend the event, and I spotted him easily in his black suit, just standing there looking all serious. To my surprise, I saw him with the same woman again, this time laughing and sharing drinks. I took a deep breath and decided to record a short video of them together. Like, I needed proof. After the event, I posted the video on social media, tagging him and the gym. I was like, let's see how he likes the public eye now. My post quickly gained traction, with friends and acquaintances commenting and sharing. The next day, I got tons of messages from mutual friends expressing shock and disbelief. My boyfriend texted me, furious about the post, demanding to know why I did it. He tried to downplay everything, saying it was just a friend, but I was done listening to his lies. I finally blocked him on all platforms. His reputation took a real hit, with people questioning his character and calling him out. It was honestly kind of satisfying. Now I'm just focusing on myself. I booked a solo trip to recharge and get away from all this drama. I can't wait. Edit. I want to clarify that I didn't make the posts out of revenge, but rather to make sense of the situation. My brother's sighting made me suspicious, and I needed confirmation. The video was only for my records. I didn't expect the public reaction. The trip really helped me recover. Am I the idiot for letting my wife find herself while she neglects our kids? The weight of my situation has just hit me, probably a decade or so too late. But here we are, trying to unpick everything and could do with the advice of others to gauge what to make of my situation and what to do next. I am married with 2 young kids and have been with my partner for around 12 years. My wife has bad anxiety, and it has, over the years, made it very hard to be around her. She is often stressed, agitated, and irritable. When things are bad, she becomes increasingly insular, less loving, and is generally hard to be around. She seems displeased, worried, and disapproving about everything. Over the years, going back around 8 years, I have tried talking to her about this and how it makes me feel to be around her, and her need to seek help. I've realized I can't help her as much as I try, and she always rebuffed the conversation and put it back on me. I don't understand how hard certain things are, and that's a perfectly normal thing to be stressed about. There's always a new thing that is normal to be stressed about. She thinks I have a fantasy version of life in my head, and that's not how the world works. For example, about 6 years ago, I remember telling her that she often speaks to me rudely or in a dismissive way, and her response was that I was too sensitive and that she should be able to speak to her partner how she likes and feels. She also used to give me the silent treatment for days for nothing. I spotted a pattern that it happened whenever I went to see a friend. I would ask her what's wrong, and she would say, nothing. Anyway, things got really bad around 3 years ago, and she recognized that she needed medication. She went on antidepressants, and honestly, everything changed. She was more confident, happier, more outgoing, less stressed, more resilient, more fun to be around. I felt loved for the first time in years. I felt like we were a partnership again. It was life-changing for all of us. It was basically the person that I originally fell in love with. And then around 9 months ago, she decided to come off the medication. She said it had done its job and she didn't need it anymore. I was terrified, but was obviously supportive of her decision. As the weeks went by, small cracks started to emerge. She would get disproportionately stressed about something or not be as engaged in conversation. But they were small cracks, and I didn't say anything. Then, as of about 6 weeks ago, things went back to how they used to be. Always annoyed. Always stressed. Can't make decisions. Things are overwhelming. She's hard to be around. I feel unloved. Unheard. I come home and she shouts at my daughter for wanting to come hug me because they are in the middle of the bedtime routine. I literally want a quick cuddle, and then we'll help continue with the bedtime routine. She doesn't look at me, doesn't look interested in the fact that I've come home. I go for a walk with her and explain I'm worried and things are going back to how they were. She thinks I am being insensitive for bringing up the medication and doesn't think there's anything wrong. She acknowledges she's a bit more irritable, but says it's because of the recent stress of moving house. We literally bought our dream house that needs no work, and the move was as smooth as can be. I apologize for bringing up the medication, but explain that I'm worried about her and felt I had to be honest about the changes I've seen. Since that chat, nothing has gotten better, and I'm stuck on what to do next. What do people make of my situation, and what should I do? I'm so lost. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I assume she hasn't been doing any therapy during this time, huh? Because a therapist, or even a competent doctor, would have told her not to just go off her medications. My mom would go on and off her medication all the time when I was growing up, and it really affected me. It's hard, but you can't help someone who doesn't want to help themselves. If she doesn't acknowledge that her behavior is a problem, you aren't going to be able to do anything to change it. What's best for you and your children is probably for you to get out of this relationship. Your children will learn how the world works by watching you and your wife. Do you want them to grow up thinking it's okay to treat people the way your wife treats you? Or worse, for them to be treated the way your wife treats you? Comment 2. I advise you to take your wife to a psychologist, and the psychologist will explain to her what she is experiencing. You should join that therapy so that you and the psychologist can provide her the peace of mind and understanding that the antidepressant medications gave her, and thus she will improve, but she will never be fully cured. You need to act quickly because, as you mentioned, it is already affecting your children, and that depression and anxiety is causing her to mistreat your children and distance them from you. You must take action as soon as possible. And if that doesn't work, well, the only option left may be to get divorced and take your children and distance yourself from her. Now, for the update. Here's the update. A week after I posted, Sarah seemed more and more distracted. I thought at first it was just lingering from the move, but this was different. She'd be doing something, like washing the dishes, and then just stop, staring off into space. I noticed the kids, Emma and Noah, getting snapped at for the smallest things. Like, Noah spilled some juice on the table, and she yelled at him to be more careful. It was just juice, like chill. One evening, we went to my parents' house for dinner. Sarah was unusually quiet, which is saying something, because she's not exactly a chatterbox these days. My mom asked her about the new garden we planted at our new house, and Sarah barely gave a one-word answer. I tried to lighten the mood because my parents were starting to catch on to the weirdness. We built this new fence together, and I made a joke about how we almost got divorced while putting it up. Didn't even get a chuckle from her. After dinner, I overheard her arguing with my sister about something stupid, like my sister's kid not finishing their dinner. My sister left the table upset, and I felt like I had to play mediator, which is so not how I want to spend my evenings. I asked Sarah what was going on, and she just brushed me off, saying it was nothing. That night, I found her outside on the porch, just scrolling through her phone. I mentioned how we needed to talk about her stress, and she shot me down again, saying she's too tired. The next day was the kids' soccer game. Usually, Sarah goes to everything with them, but she said she had errands. I ended up taking the kids alone, and I saw her car parked at a store nearby. I ran into a neighbor who mentioned seeing her there for over an hour. It got me thinking, but I didn't confront her right away because I didn't want to seem paranoid. We went to my sister's house for Emma's birthday party a few days later. Sarah was so distant, like she was on another planet. When my sister asked everyone to take a family photo, she stood off to the side, not even trying to smile. I noticed she was texting like crazy under the table too. After the party, I asked her about it, and she snapped at me, saying she just wanted to check in with a friend. She stormed out of the room, and I was just left there confused. I decided to look through our shared computer to see if I could find anything. I found a bunch of unsent messages to someone named Jamie. Confronted Sarah about it when she came home, and she acted like she didn't know anyone named Jamie. A week later, we went to a school event where I saw her talking closely with another parent. When I got a good look, I saw the parent was Jamie. I lost it when we got home, and she admitted to talking with Jamie, but insisted it's just a friendship. I told her she had to cut that off, and she agreed, but said I was putting way too much pressure on her. We went on a weekend trip with the kids, and the whole time, we argued about her phone usage. She left the trip early, saying she needed some space to think. I stayed back with the kids, trying to make the best of it. I feel like I've been trying to engage with them more since all this started, planning outings and stuff. Sarah came back a few days later, and the tension was just so thick. We finally had a serious talk about everything, and she admitted it's been a struggle for her. She even mentioned needing to find herself. That's when she suggested taking a short trip alone. She caught me off guard with that, and I just agreed, not knowing what else to say. Now, we're both packing for her trip. I have no idea what the future holds for us or the kids. To answer a few questions, I have no idea who Jamie is. Sarah claims that they are just friends, but she has not been completely honest with me regarding their communication. I have chosen to let Sarah go on this trip, as I do not know what else to do at this point. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.